Ivan, would you start off with introducing yourself uh, and talk about your professional background? I was intrigued that you were born in northern Russia and found your way at a young age to the Ukraine. So, anyway, Ivan, welcome. Welcome to Medville. Glad you are one of us. And this is a wonderful opportunity for us to get to know you. And so you'll see pretty soon why I was so anxious to get Ivan onto our presentation schedule for the Lyceum. But Ivan, tell us about your journey.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so I will tell about I will start from my professional background, some highlights from my career. So I'm 34 and I have an engineering background. I started my career in IT as quality assurance engineer, and then I switched to Android developer role. Yeah, I developed Android apps for a company. And then with the time, I began to take freelance projects. And I realized that I'm more interested in driving the vision of a product rather than just develop an Android part and that's it. So naturally, I took bigger and bigger projects, and that pushed me to assemble team. So I began to hire backend developers, front-end developers, designers. And that was a start of my company, as well as start my journey in healthcare, because back then in 2015, I guess I met Wendy Ton. Wendy is based in Denver, and she was chief medical officer at Anthem Blue Cross. And Wendy launched a company, Wendy's Team. Wendy's Team is a non-medical senior care company in Denver. And they hired us to redevelop their iOS app. And when I worked with the app, I saw that most of the operations of the company were manual. So, for example, Wendy took all the orders by phone and made all the schedulings on the pieces of paper. So I proposed to develop a solution that would streamline all the operations. And we developed basically an Uber for senior care. So a portal for team members, for caregivers, where they can set up their schedule, create their profiles, add their kind of certification, skills, and so on. And on the other side, there is a portal for clients where they can also book visits, leave feedback, and so on. And that significantly helped Wendy to reduce her time on operations and ability to scale the company. And Wendy proposed me to become a CTO and offered a stake in the company. And with that, we decided to apply to Y Combinator. It's one of the most popular startup accelerator in the world. So we applied, but unfortunately we were rejected. And there were also some personal issues. So at the time I decided to move on with my services business and continue working, like taking clients' projects. And we decided to focus on healthcare direction, as like I worked with Wendy and we had like other projects in healthcare. So in 2020, we created a SEO strategy on our website on how promote ourselves as like providers for healthcare market. And we did some marketing activities, and in 1.5 years, we grew our traffic on the website in 5 times, and we began to receive more and more requests on developing healthcare apps. Yeah, so since then we developed more than 50 projects. We mostly work with companies from the US, but we also had clients in Middle East and Europe. Yeah, and also I launched a podcast that reveals challenges of implementing technology in healthcare. So as a developer myself, I understand how to develop things, but I see that there is a challenge, and often it is a challenge to implement projects in real life. And we invite entrepreneurs, decision makers to to talk about the journey in healthcare and how they implement technology in real life.
Mhm. Well, Ivan, you've had such an interesting life. Why, how did you learn to speak English so well?
Yeah, I wish I do it better, but thank you. I studied English in school, and we had like different classes on English, like English literature, American literature, country studying, like different classes on English.
Mhm. Well, then you've got, if I recall, 30 engineers that work for you,
Yeah.
for your company Demigos. Where are the engineers located?
So it's half of engineers are in Ukraine, in safe locations and like relatively safe locations, let's say, and half of them are in Europe.
Okay, yeah. So I found this interesting. As I was interviewing uh, Ivan about becoming a medvalista, I said, "Well, what do you do for fun?" And he said, "Well, late at night, I write uh, code, programming." Uh, and
Yeah.
tell them about your interest, the fun you do, that you can tell when there's someone's using AI to write stuff, and and how do you do that? Or can you tell us about that? That I found that very interesting.
Yeah, and actually that was one of the tips I wanted to share with you on how I overcome stress and like challenges I face. But if we're here, so yeah, I developed a Google Docs plugin that detects plagiarism and AI-generated text. Yeah, and I launched this 3 months ago, and we now have more than 45,000 seat installs and more than 3,000 individual installs, like users from more than 100 countries. So yeah, it's kind of growing.
Yeah. Well, and when Ivan was talking about this at his club collaboration, the Humbleistas, a mayor who teaches graduate healthcare administration says we need to know how to detect plagiarism with our students when they're writing papers. And so I know he's had some talks with you about that. So, Ivan, you've been running a company in a war zone. So, can you talk to us a little bit about how that works, or how did you make it work? How did you face the war in Ukraine?
Yeah. So first of all, I'd like to say that I never imagined that I will experience war, and that was a shock. I woke up 24 February 2022 in my home in Kiev because of explosions. It was like 4 a.m. and I was shocked. Like in the news, there were some information that it is going, but like our officials told that there is nothing to worry about. So that was kind of shock to me. So I even called the police, and police also was frustrated, like what's going on. Nobody knew what's going on. So yeah, back then like my wife's sister and her boyfriend, they were living with us. My wife was in another city, so there were three of us in the apartment. Yeah, so in a couple of days we moved to the west of Ukraine, and we were there like for half a year or so, and then in half a year we get back to Kiev, and that was like challenging time because like we all were stressed because like because of a lot of uncertainty. We didn't know what's happening, like where they will attack next, what will be what they take, what lands Russians will take, and so on. And there were also a lot of stress to help people who were close to war zones to manage them. So my wife was human resources manager at our company, and she helped to organize to people. Yeah, so that was challenging, and also additional to that, we had some challenges in the company that firstly in our history, we faced with six-figure bad debts from clients. And for like a small company like ours, that was quite a considerable loss and also a shock. Like now I see this as an opportunity to evolve, of course. And since then, like, and I see our mistakes also, or like our behavior that led to the situation. So since then, we improved our delivery process. We like switched from post-payment to prepayment, and also did like a number of different things that helped us to become better. And in 2023, we had zero bad debts. Yeah, so that's
Well, and then I remember you telling me that you were having a conversation with a client or potential client uh, who decided not to work with you because you were in Ukraine. Can you talk about that a little bit?
yeah, so I had like very short conversation with a potential client. It was about like an 8 minute call. She is from the US, and we were talking about potential collaboration. And yeah, when she knew that I'm in Ukraine, she was confused that how can I bring a million contracts to you, like I cannot risk. And that was kind of the conversation.
Yeah. So, what challenges, other than maybe the obvious ones, are you having as a CEO running a healthcare technology company in a country that's at war?
Well, like also in 2022 and especially in 2023, we see quite a decline in like new requests. I think that is mostly like part of that because of the economic downturn, like globally, and another part of this is because of Ukraine location.
Hmm.
So, and I know that a lot of, especially bigger companies, they have policies like contingency policy not to work with locations where there is war. So like, and that's good that um, most of our clients are startups, and they're like more like a personal level conversation rather than like a big corporation that have policies, and if you do not comply, you're just out of the game.
Hmm. Hmm. We're all worried about workforce in our companies. Um, how's that working for you? Are you getting enough help? Are you losing employees, engineers?
I would say that that is not a problem right now. That was a problem in 2021 when there like was a lot of money on the market. That was a challenging time to hire engineers, honestly. But now It's completely opposite situation where there is a lack of projects, but there are a lot of talented people on the market.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then Ivan, I know on top of all this, you've gone through some personal challenges, uh, some personal tragedies. Uh, can you share that?
Yeah, and I was kind of I thought and I didn't know like whether to share it or not. But to be completely honest, I decided to share that. So in May 2023, Russian drone hit our home in Kiev, and I lost my wife. And yeah, so I was also there. I was injured by shrapnel, and I spent several weeks in a hospital. Yeah, so
Well, we are so sorry to hear about that, Ivan. Um, and so, how how are you dealing with all this? How did you deal with this? And I know from our personal some of our conversations, you have done the reading, you've thought about how to get through difficult times, some lessons that we might be able to gain from. So, how did you cope?
yeah, so I when we firstly talked when I talked with Jim first time, and that was kind of we are talking about this topic and what can I share. I like asked myself how I can be valuable to you. So that's my kind of personal tragedy and my personal circumstances I am in, but how can I be valuable? And I like thought about that and came up with a kind of the list of things that helped me. And I think that can be also some tips for you when you face some difficult situations. So first of all, regardless of what happens, you can choose your attitude. And I want to share with you a phrase from book of Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. And phrase is, everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any circumstances, to choose one's own way. So, and the take here that we cannot fully control our lives, and some events can happen even we don't plan them, but we have that freedom of choosing how to react on things. And as for me, and of course, when you face some tragedy, you as a person need to go all the 5 stages. We all know about them, like denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. But on each stage, like you can choose your attitude. So for me, when I had sessions with my therapist, there is one insight I got that when you love a person, but this person is not with you anymore because of different reasons, that love still lives with you, and it can give strength you now, and you can nurture it. So that love still exists. And yeah, for me is it also still lives. So the next thing is building your vision. It's the freedom to build your vision. And maybe some of you don't know about Viktor Frankl and his book. I will just share some, like the background. So Viktor Frankl was an Austrian psychiatrist, and he went through 4 concentration camps in Nazis concentration camps. and he lost his wife, his brother, and his parents in concentration camps. And like he was in just horrible conditions of living. So they were starving, there were no shoes, like just it's hard to imagine for a modern person like that it can be reality. And he wrote this book, and Man's Search for Meaning. Half of the book talks about his experience in concentration camp, and another half is about his logotherapy. That's a method he came up with. That method that helps people to overcome addictions and other issues with the search of meaning. And in this book, he describes a situation where, when he faced these brutal times, he envisioned that he's standing in front of students in his lecture, and that he's giving the speech. And that gave him strength and joy at those moments. And he also gives another examples of people who were hoping to escape the concentration camp by some date. For example, I will be released by Christmas or by New Year or whatever. And when that date came, these people, they were broken, because they had hope, and there is no hope, and that's it. So my insight here that we need to build a vision, but we don't need to set up like strict boundaries. As I said, like, to me, we can't control like fully our lives, but still, when we have that vision of the future we want to achieve, there is no guarantee that we will achieve it, but at least that vision gives strength now. The next thing that helped me is transcendence meditation. Maybe most of you tried meditation, but yeah, transcendence meditation is about like taking the mantra, and basically it helps to calm thoughts and yeah, to see different perspectives. And if some of you is interested in knowing more about transcendence meditation, I'm happy to share on the one-to-one chat. Then the next thing that helped me is going to therapist. And before that, honestly, my focus was like more on external life, like build a network, building business, and so on. And like now I understand that the biggest transformation we might have is by transforming like our inner world and how we react on things. And that is a tool for me to research myself, to research my reactions. And another thing is, I think it is important that another person sees your vulnerabilities and weaknesses. So when you share them, when we leave, we might not see like all our weaknesses and pains. We just react automatically. But when you are in contact with a person and you like sharing like all you have, this therapist can highlight that for you. And when you face these situations in further life, you can observe them, and you can change your perspective, and you can change your reactions. So of course, sport helped me. So I'm doing jogging, and also I'm doing yoga. So jogging is also kind of meditation state for me. Then no alcohol. So I do not drink since early 2022. And I think when like we face with some challenges and challenging times, alcohol can give like short release, but then it gets even worse. Yeah, the next thing is creativity and projects we can control. What I mean here that we all face with a lot of uncertainty in life, especially in business. We can't control whether like a key employee will quit or not, or maybe your client will be upset with the services, or there can be bad debt or some issues with the bank. So different things. So I think it is important to have something where you can control things. So for me, it's programming, and I do like this plugin I mentioned, and that is kind of a joy for me, because when like evening comes or night comes, I'm just doing my coding, and I see like the next few days I see the reaction of users, and that's very joyful, because only me control my little world. And of course, for you, it can be different. It can be art therapy, doing music, or like, I don't know, writing, whatever. Also time, of course, time with my family and friends. So I got huge support from my brother and father, my friends. And it's important to have rituals. So for example, we have um, we call it cinema therapy. That's when we gather with our friends and we watch some strange movies, and we try to discuss different unusual perspectives and how insights from movie can help in our lives. Yeah, so also traveling helps, because like when you see different locations, it also opens you different perspectives, not to be narrowed down in your small world. And yeah, also meaningful work and my team. So as I see that the results of our projects and how they impact our clients' businesses, and yeah, it gives me also joy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for answering the question of, so how did you cope? I think there's some good lessons for us, and we're going to open this up in a few minutes just to more of a group conversation about this for everybody to maybe share, ask Ivan some questions. So, Ivan, what's come out of this? You said that part of your therapy, if you will, was having a future vision for Viktor Frankl. What was that vision that maybe kept you from falling into the trap that this is going to be over by Christmas? You're working on the things you can control. You can't control a timeline. So, but you did control a vision. What did that look like? And where is this taking you now? What's what are some of the next steps for Domingos, your company?
Um, Yes, so my vision is my passion is to build products, and products that are useful and that are valuable to users. So that is kind of the I would say activity I want to do, and the vision I have, that I create products which are useful and popular.
Mhm. What's going to happen with your company? Uh, you're you're working on U.S. clients, I know, but any specific short-term, intermediate term plans?
Um, in terms of the company development.
Yeah, uh-huh. Or what you might be doing personally within your company as well.
Yeah, so I am still figuring out the next moves, honestly. And that was one of the intentions of entering Midwell. So I believe that the IT services business is transforming into more solution-based approach, where like you have some core product and then you customize it for different clients and their needs. So that's I'm on all the stages of that. I'm looking for kind of finding some product and some market where to apply to use this product.
Mhm. Can you give us some examples of how you're helping healthcare companies?
Yeah, sure. We mostly work with startups, and the biggest help we do is clients come to us with a vision of what they want to build, but there is not necessarily like detailed vision how the product should look like and work. So we help them to take this vision and implement that in a product that corresponds to that vision.
Could you give us an example?
Yeah, sure. So one of the projects we are currently working on is a company called Gap Nurse. It's a platform that connects nurses with healthcare facilities. So on one side, there is a mobile app for nurses where they register, go through onboarding process, and on the other side, healthcare facilities can create assignments and choose clinicians to fill those assignments from their internal staff or external contractors that Gap Nurse provides.
Mm-hmm.
And we help them like when we started working, I guess in 2017 or 18, that was just a vision that they want a platform that connects nurses with healthcare facilities. But since then, like we had many operations, and products significantly evolves since then.
Mm-hmm. So I was surprised, Ivan, to learn of your podcast about healthcare issues. And Tiago will put that up on the chat here. But tell us, how do you find time to host your own podcast uh, after everything you've told us you're dealing with and going through? But tell us about the podcast.
Yes, unfortunately, I don't spend much time on it now because of like other things. I'm moving around. And, yeah, I will share that later. Uh, so yeah, I spent less time on it compared to like a year ago. So honestly, yeah, as I mentioned, the idea is to invite people who um, were involved in product development in healthcare and talk with them about how they developed technology and, more importantly, how they implemented the technology in real operations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ivan, how can we help you? Do you want clients? You want introductions? Uh, you want a friend to talk to? How can Medvel uh, be of service to you? Why did you join Medvel? What were your hopes? What were your needs?
Um, yeah, I don't know exactly, but yeah, I will just share like where I'm at and my plans. So I moved from Ukraine a month ago. Now I'm in Portugal, and I'm planning my next moves, and I'm thinking about moving to the US. So yeah, I'm looking for new opportunities. It can be partnerships, joint ventures, even employment. So I'm open to different things. And on the also there is one opportunity I'm considering. It's for my plugin. So it's now for B2C market, but I think it is much more opportunities in B2B sector. So for example, applying the algorithm to universities or government agencies, like to entities which are interested in detecting, and where it is important to detect text on plagiarism, and AI generated text. And I think that the biggest market is in B2B direction. And yeah, if somebody has any network or connections or even like thoughts how that can be applied to different markets in the US, because I see it from my perspective, but you are there and you might see like bigger picture of applications. Yeah, so I'm open to different scenarios.